All right, Carter, you got $25.87.
Not for long. I make bad financial decisions.
So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to just watch people make bad financial decisions. Now, most of the time my videos end up having a topic centered around a lot of the videos we watch and comment on. And a lot of them do end up being some sort of financial debt, car payments, cost of living, you name it, things like that, right? But I thought in this video it'd be interesting, honestly, just hear a whole bunch of other people's bad financial decisions across the board. So maybe some people could take this as advice or entertainment, but let's just get right into the first clip where this guy loses like $20,000 on a car.
This is the worst financial decision I have ever made. I'm sitting in the worst financial decision I've ever made. This is a 2017 Ford Focus Titanium. I bought it brand new with 373 miles on it. The MSRP was $32,000. The dealer discount was $6,000, so I ended up getting this for $26,000. The term length that I bought this for was 6 years, so if I would have made the minimum payments every month, it would have been paid off last year. Thankfully, I paid it off in 2 years. I took this car to CarMax recently, and they gave me an offer of $2,500. That means that I have lost $24,000, roughly, in the last 6 years. There's no resale value on this car. It's a little bit of a kick to the gut.
Now, I do want to say right off the bat, I know that CarMax is going to be one of those places. I would say almost any place where you go, like a dealership, somewhere to sell your car, they're going to lowball you. So I highly doubt that a top-level trim Ford Focus is worth $2,500, but I didn't know that Focuses were like over $30,000. I get that the trim's nicer, but it's not that nice. But if you get an economy car that doesn't have somewhat of a decent resale value, which end up honestly just being like Hondas and Toyotas, I mean Subarus as well, but they're pretty expensive. Car brands like that actually have pretty decent reliability, you just gotta know you're gonna get absolutely screwed when you go to trade that in or sell the car and get another car. Hopefully not as bad as being $20,000 in the hole, but definitely a pretty big hit to start off this video.
I won $100,000 after winning America's Next Top Model in 2017, and here is the story of my biggest financial mistake of my life. So after I won the show, they actually gave me a check for $100,000. Boom, baby, I'm rich. And for some reason, my little itty-bitty undeveloped brain thought that meant it was $100,000 post-tax. Like, they obviously already took out the game show tax because I got a check for $100,000. Newsflash, not the case. So anyways, I go and spend the $100,000. I paid $60,000 for an apartment in New York, but I had a roommate paying me back, and then I subleased it and they paid me back. Anyways, it wasn't that horrible of an investment, but obviously not the smartest thing I could have done. And then the rest of the money I spent taking my family on like nice dinners, and I bought one pair of shoes, and anyways, I spent the entire $100,000. I also got a car. Like, yeah, I spent the money, okay? What I should have done was put aside 35 to 40% of the money for taxes so that I'd be ready to pay that. But I didn't do that. I spent it all. And so I spent the next several years paying back the money in taxes to the IRS. Whenever you watch a game show and you see like, oh my God, they won $10,000 or they won a new car or whatever it is, just take that with a grain of salt, because not only are they going to be taxed on the actual cashola that they bring home, but like when you get a free car, you don't really get a free car. You have to pay the taxes and then all the other things that come with winning a prize on television.
Even though this happens to so few people in this country, I could still definitely see people thinking that like they win the lottery, they win $1 million and they actually get $1 million. And no matter how you make your money or you win your money or get any sort of financial gain, you got to know that the government's going to go in and take their fair share. They're going to tax you as much as humanly possible, and we're just going to let them, and then you have to deal with consequences like that.
If there is one financial regret I have in my almost 30 years of living, it would be spending $30,000 on a wedding. The wedding industry has all of us girlies in a chokehold, making us feel like we need to prove something to everyone around us and have this massive, expensive, beautiful wedding. I fell under that and became brainwashed and went from eloping and having something casual and under $5K to having this $30K wedding in San Francisco with only 50 people. At the end of the day, I look back at this and I think about how much of that money I could have used for something so much more valuable, like a honeymoon, investing, paying for our businesses that we're trying to grow, anything. I know it's wedding season right now, and I just want to put this out into the universe, and if you're seeing this, it's probably a sign. If your wedding planning isn't about you and your spouse and it's about everybody else, don't do it. just elope and save their money.
I even have personal experience from people that I know that their wedding actually cost $50,000 and they're not even together anymore. I don't know what the statistics were. I remember hearing a while ago it was like a 50-50 if you were gonna get divorced or not after you got married. Maybe it's still that high, maybe it's not anymore, but still, just that much money for a one-night party. I could even understand if you spent that much money on a honeymoon, which would be still pretty crazy, but at least that's a vacation. You get to like see the world. But then we could go over to the men's side of this issue and see some pretty bad financial decisions that I bet a lot of people would understand this guy.
Your worst financial decision and why?
Unfortunately, my worst financial decision was getting married to my original spouse that I had and not having had any kind of prenuptial agreement. That was rather a devastating issue when we got divorced. Even though we had agreed to certain things, she decided that that wasn't good enough for her anymore, and I wish I had protected the money I had before we were married and for things we'd agreed on. So that would be my worst financial decision.
You could kind of just hear that the way that he talks about it, he is just broken. And this is all too common for a lot of men nowadays. So I mean, if you have assets before you end up marrying, you better start paying good money for a lawyer and be able to put everything in writing so you don't end up losing it if you do have that 50-50 of if we'll actually stay together or not. This video, we just have one that's kind of like a series that I've seen that is kind of more of a comedy skit, but still definitely happens if you've seen my previous videos with the car payments.
Great news, sport. I actually got you approved in that 2009 F-250 out there. Only $11.99 a month. What do you say, man?
I don't know. I was kind of planning on moving out soon. What do you think I should do?
I mean, move out, buy a truck. I mean, look, I'm a car salesman, man, but let me give you my honest opinion off the record. How you gonna move your stuff if you don't have a truck, dude?
You're so right.
you gotta get the truck before you can move.
Okay,
right?
okay, I gotcha.
Exactly. You got any questions for me though before we wrap this up?
I mean, the $11.99 a month, that's no problem. I make $3,000 a month, so like
You make oh, dude, you're good.
that's less than half. Like,
It's not even half, dude.
Yeah, and
You're perfect.
I don't have the full $5K to put down. You guys take credit card?
Dude, we can put the whole thing on a credit card.
$5K. Oh, let's go. I'm gonna be perfect then.
Come
Now,
on, man. We're gonna take care of you.
last question: does this include a warranty?
So I know we went over that, but the bank's not going to finance the warranty. But honestly, with only a little over 200,000 miles and you're only financing for 84 months, you don't even need a warranty because this thing's not going to give you any trouble. And then it'll be paid off and you'll be coming back to me for another one, you know. So I won't even worry about that, dude. You'll be golden, trust me.
I mean, it does only have 200,000 miles. I should be fine.
That's nothing
right?
for an F-250, bro.
Cool, cool.
All right, so if you don't have any more questions for me, just sign there. We'll get it wrapped up today.
Let's do this.
Sucker. Congratulations.
Wait, what did you say?
I don't have to spend a lot of time on that one. I've made a couple videos already talking about how ridiculous some of these payments people are completely fine with paying every single month. I mean, you're getting to the point where these are mortgage payments for like big trucks or nice luxury cars, even though people aren't rich. But here's probably the dumbest video that I have in this entire thing, just for some likes on TikTok.
Oh, a dollar.
And that's it. You just go to the comments here. $1 turned into $1,000 because that turbo is now fried. Was it worth it for the 4,000 likes? Like, bro threw away $1,001. I mean, the type of stupid stuff people do just for a little bit of attention online, that could be a whole video in itself if I really wanted to do the research. Just for a little bit of clout or a little bit of attention. A lot of the time, not even for like monetary gain. They just want the dopamine hit of seeing a whole bunch of people like their page. It's so stupid.
So, we're asking for auditions, okay? I need a financial supervisor and a stepmom. You want a stepmom? Okay. So, let me tell you why I need a financial supervisor. So, as a man, we don't buy a lot of things that are on sale. Women, y'all go out, y'all buy things on sale, and that's always the excuse you always hear. It's always on sale. There was a sale. So, for men, it's hunting, fishing, or tools, pretty much, and those things very rarely ever go on sale. But life hack, man, I'll tell you this. If you buy enough of it, they'll give you a discount. Let me show y'all what I bought. So this is why I need a financial advisor and somebody to take my credit card away from me. Yeah. It's getting bad around here. Lane's even noticing it. In all fairness, I blame it on him. I even got a new fishing rod for him. See? Yep. So, anybody want to sign up? Yay! See? Got to sign up now. Say bye.
Now, these are the kind of people that actually get me angry because they actively know that they're making a stupid decision and they're still doing it, and they make it like it's a joke. Somebody needs to take away its credit card. It's like, no, you need to be a responsible adult. And it's not even just him being stupid. Now it affects his child that still needs food, still needs you to pay the bills and everything because, I mean, it's just a little kid. But this is actually the male version of all of those other cringe videos that you've seen of like single moms with like 5 kids from 4 different dads, and you have to go and be Superman and save them all and all of that kind of crap. And it's just, this is actually just the male version of it. So I feel bad for the kid, but I don't have any sympathy for the dad.
Since we're talking about scams, let's talk about how much of a scam student loans are. They push this whole fucking agenda on us. Oh, go to college so you can get you a good job and use that good job to pay off these fucking student loans. As if that's the only way to make a decent living in America. When some of the most successful people have never stepped foot in a university before, have never stepped foot in a community college before. If I would have known the things I know now back then, I would have never went to college. This is through 3 different schools, 2 different majors, 1 degree, because I didn't even finish the second one. I'm literally like 2 semesters away from a bachelor's that I never finished and I never will finish. It ain't nothing wrong with a trade, but it was so pushed. Now don't take this as me saying that there's anything wrong with college, because it's not. But what I will say is, I went just because I felt like this is what I was supposed to do. And I was halfway through my bachelor's degree before I sat there and realized, this is not what the fuck I want to do with my life. And that is why I never finished that degree.
I understand her a little bit because I bet people would be angry that she went to like different universities, did different majors, and just started racking up even more bills than she was already going to get if she had like laser focus and did everything exactly the way it was supposed to be in the perfect amount of time. But it is almost mandatory now when you're like 17 years old, senior in high school, you already have to like commit to a college that you're going to, and then you're locked into paying that amount of money per year, and then you have to instantly just find what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. I've done the same thing. At least I did community college, so instead of her $47,000 balance, but by the time I dropped out, I ended up owing about $21,000, I think almost $22,000 worth of debt, and I switched majors 3 different times. But a lot of the time you don't even have enough time to decide to wait to go to college. Parents are pushing you, guidance counselors, teachers are pushing you to immediately go to college and get into tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt. And then you become like this woman being $50,000 worth of debt when you don't actually really want to do what you were set out to do in college.
For me, it's easy. I poured $255,000 into my 401k account over 17 years at my corporate sales job because it was matched and pre-taxed. What a bunch of nonsense. When I could have easily taken that money and purchased $1.25 million worth of real estate. That's 20% down payments, 10 properties, grossing $12,500 per month. That portfolio now would probably be worth $2.5 million. Who knows, maybe even more. I'd have a ton of equity in the properties because the loans would have been paid down massively by tenants. I'd have a bunch of tax benefits. That is a sweet retirement, not the 401k.
So this one I wanted to put in the video because there's a whole bunch of memes of like, you know, back in 1998 when I was in preschool, I should have actually been buying property instead of learning like my ABCs. There's a whole bunch of like funny memes like that, but this one is like a clear hindsight. It's like, yeah, of course, everybody in 2016 should have gone and bought Bitcoin. We'd all be millionaires by now. But I think a lot of the people who should have done all the real estate and buying it would have actually done it, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know much about real estate at all. So like the only people who end up really benefiting from a lot of the real estate just booming and going up are people who already knew it before it started exploding. There's not a lot of people just throwing money into real estate and hoping that it went up and it magically did, even though they have no idea what to do with any of their properties. So this one's kind of like a hit or miss, obviously. Of course, you should have put all your money into something that has blown up in the past like 10 years, of course, but how many normal people would really know that? I feel like just the people who knew about real estate before it started going up would actually know, invest their money and make a ton of it.
Yo, Don, what's up? What's the worst financial decision you ever made?
When I was 18 years old, I ended up buying a 2005 Chevy Malibu with 100 and something thousand miles on it from a buy here, pay here car lot. And I ended up paying 3 times the value of the actual car because I was so hyped to want to get a vehicle. So don't be like me. I wasted thousands of dollars trying to be hyped. Get your credit right and only buy something when you know you can truly afford it.
I could definitely see this being more prevalent in the next few years. Those predatory payday loan, buy here, pay here type of car lots that I guess are still used car lots, but you know what I'm talking about. Basically like the loan shark type level of buying a car. How difficult it is to buy a new car just period right now, along with used cars. At least some of them are going down, but it's still overpriced. So you have these like junk lemon law cars being sold to people who don't have a lot of money, and they don't realize that even though they only spent like $3,000 or $4,000 on a car, the amount of interest you have to pay by the time you could maybe pay for that car if it doesn't get repoed because you just can't afford it at all. Like he said, he was paying 3 times the amount it was actually worth. And by the time he could possibly sell it or trade it in to get another car that's more reliable or newer, there's gonna be no value in that car. So that astronomical amount of money that he paid for that car is just completely gone now.
Story time about one of the worst financial decisions I've ever made. From 2020 to 2022, I was an online fitness coach and I had a full-blown business. I had employees, I had an assistant coach. At one point, we probably had like 70 clients and I loved it. I loved it so much, but there was always this pressure to quote unquote invest in yourself and invest in your business, which I do not disagree with, okay? The more advanced you get in your business, the more you are encouraged to invest and the more expensive it gets. So I decided to spend, I'm cringing saying this, $7,000 on a business coach. And that was discounted. And that business coach really didn't do anything for me at all. Like, looking back, I really don't remember making any moves with her at all about anything. She told me I needed to go to therapy, and that's about it. And the fact that I spent $7,000 on that could have been a down payment for a car. That could have been in my savings for my future house that I am saving for right now. The amount of regret that I have in spending that much money for a business that I'm not even doing anymore actively, I regret it so much. It was by far my worst financial decision I've ever made.
Now this particular example is pretty niche because there's probably not too many people watching this video that's going to need or want a business coach, but I think this also lumps into a lot of those people that you find on social media that are like, you know, buy my $1,000 dropshipping course and be able to make 6 figures on Amazon sitting from home working for 2 hours a day type of thing. With all the issues of people not making enough money at their jobs or getting a job in general right now, there's a lot of people looking to find extra income, and you start getting into those people that find it on TikTok or Instagram. And I mean, $7,000 is a crazy amount, but I've seen some of these courses from some of these like influencer guru type of people where they are actually thousands of dollars to be a part of their community Discord group. I mean, you know, all of these courses, when you end up becoming a part of the membership or buying the course, and then you don't actually really make money from what you were supposed to be taught and, you know, be a finance mogul and some e-commerce giant. It's been an issue for a while, but I think over the next couple years it'll probably get even worse because it's technically not illegal, even though it's a gray area. I think a lot of people are going to get screwed by that while we start getting into this recession.
You should definitely avoid these 3 stupid financial mistakes if you ever want to become wealthy. I would know because I personally went through all 3 of them. After I graduated and got my first job, I was saving up a decent amount of money. My total expenses per month, including rent and food, was probably only around $800. And even though I was pretty young, I knew what I was supposed to do with my money. Invest in the S&P 500, but that was too slow for young Frank. As many traders thought, well, I'm better than everyone else. Surely I can make a ton of money trading. After just watching Wolf of Wall Street, I thought, how hard could this be? It turns out pretty hard. I had some initial success. I doubled $2,000 to $4,000 within a couple weeks. But then I promptly lost all of my gains and more within several days. The thing about penny stocks is that it's like a roller coaster, except you never know when it's about to drop. I lost so much money day trading penny stocks that I only had enough money left to fly to my new job and pay the first month's rent. Of course, I did not learn my lesson, and I would also start to day trade options. Again, I had some initial success, and one day I made over $50,000. But you can probably imagine how this turned out. I ended up losing all of my money again. This time stung a bit more because I found more success and I also had much more money to lose. Losing all of my money twice wasn't enough for young Frank though. Of course, I had to go for the three-peat. The next time I lost all of my money was through a cryptocurrency scam. The only lesson learned there was a very common one. If it's too good to be true, it most likely is. Luckily for me, even though I lost all of my money 3 times in my life, they were all relatively early in my career, so I made way more money later. And while it most definitely sucked a lot during the time, it could have been a lot worse if I went through these phases later in life. Most people will go through a lot of the same pains that I went through, usually personally, because most young people, like myself, are too stubborn to really listen to the advice of other people. You always think that you're better than everyone else until you're not, and you lose all your money. Everyone wants to make a quick buck. Everyone wants to get rich quick. I'm just here to let you know that that's usually the quickest path to become poor. But yeah, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go through all the pain yourself and then have a cool story to tell other people on the internet.
With that kind of stuff, penny stocks and the crypto, you're getting very close into the just straight up gambling portion of stock trading. I mean, you heard what he said. He got burned and then did it 2 more times. He didn't learn his lesson until he had to reset 3 times. And there's tons of people like that. Everybody knows what Wall Street Bets is. All the GameStop stuff, people making tens of millions of dollars off of it. Same thing with the Bitcoin like I was talking about before. But everybody wants to get rich as fast as humanly possible now. And like he said, it's probably one of the best ways to go broke.
But actually the worst financial decision I ever made was taking all of the Bitcoin that I had in Robinhood, selling it, and then rebuying it in Celsius a few years ago, because Celsius, if you stored your Bitcoin on their app, they would pay you interest weekly, because they would take your Bitcoin and lend it out to people and pay you interest on top of that, split their earnings with you. So at one point I was making $700 a week just by having my Bitcoin in there. And I continued to buy Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going up, and I was so excited and I was making all this money off it, and I was like, this is so great, I'm gonna have so much money. But you know what they say? Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. If you store your crypto on a third-party app, it doesn't actually fully belong to you. Things can happen. Things can happen, and I knew that things could happen. So anyway, Celsius filed for bankruptcy. They've paused transfers for most people indefinitely. I cannot get my money out. I have more than a full Bitcoin in there. I was so proud of myself when I worked my way up to a full Bitcoin. It took me a few years, but I got there, and now that money isn't mine anymore, and you just have to laugh. This is why. Never invest more money than you can stand to lose. I mean, that's a lot of money, but at this point, I just have to laugh.
At least my takeaway with this wasn't just the over-investing in Bitcoin and all of that like she was talking about. It's more of the shady brokers that I'm more worried about, because there's Celsius, I know that there's Voyager, there's even, I think FTX too, yeah? Say even if we're not talking about crypto, there's a lot of the high-yield savings accounts from these random banks that you've never heard of that have yields that are way higher than most of the, giant banking companies that you probably already heard of. And I know some people will say, like, a lot of them are FDIC insured, but still, I'd like to be a little bit more on the safer side if I'm going to be saving a ton of money in a bank and not just, hiding it under the mattress over there. So at least for me, I use Charles Schwab Marcus High Yield Savings Account. I think it's like a 4.4%, which I've seen as high as like 5.5 right now, at least today. I mean, it could go all over the place in the next year or so. But putting your saved money into something that'll grant you a higher yield than you should honestly probably get if you start seeing a lot of the competition is a dangerous game. You could say the same thing for dividend stocks that are way higher than like the normal like 2 to 4% that you would get. And unfortunately, at least at this time, she lost around $60,000 in Bitcoin because it's just locked away and there's no way she could get it. So this video was a little bit different than a lot of the center topic videos that I end up making. So if you have any thoughts on this video and any of the mistakes you've seen, leave your comments down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.